All right. Still cryptic when it comes to what's happening with Julio Jones. The window opened yesterday for a trade. The fact that the Falcons have not yet traded Julio Jones tells us they're not happy with whatever offers they have gotten. And we still have not heard anything firm. The closest we've heard is a first-round pick's on the table, and I was told over the weekend that to get the first-round pick, the Falcons are going to have to give up Julio Jones plus something else, maybe as much as a second-round pick. So it ain't really a first-round pick for Julio Jones. So either way, they're not happy with what's been offered while they've been shopping this guy for 6 weeks now. Arthur Smith, coach of the Atlanta Falcons, was asked yesterday about Julio Jones and specifically whether he'll be at mandatory minicamp. Here's the question and the answer from the first-year coach of the Falcons.
We have conversations all the time with all our players. There's good communication going back and forth through multiple avenues. So we'll see what happens next week and where we're at, So I can answer that for you next week.
Obviously, the question was not there, and that was on me. I misread the throw.
Kid can't even read. Kid can't even read.
I can't even read. I can't. I looked down at it, and I thought it said starts with question, and it did not. Regardless, Arthur Smith has been great at deflecting any and all questions about Julio Jones. Any and all. He's like a goalie in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and he's in his groove, and he's ready to go hoist the cup. He has been impenetrable, and the Falcons, for the most part, have done a very good job. But for Shannon Sharp's cold call that created a hot mess for him in FS1 to Julio Jones, we'd even have no idea that this was in any way, shape, or form about Julio Jones wanting out. But we know he wants out. He ain't going to be a mandatory minicamp. Are you kidding me? I'm out of there. What part? Hey, reporters who asked about Julio Jones, what part of I'm out of there don't you understand? He isn't going to be a mandatory minicamp.
Right. Nor do they want him to be. They don't want him to go there and blow a hamstring or pull a quad muscle, and then they can't trade him at all. So they don't want him. From that, they don't want him at mandatory minicamp. And it doesn't sound like they really want him either. Go ahead. What?
No. Next level. If you're Julio Jones, show up. You want to get a trade done? Show up at mandatory minicamp. It reminds me of what happened when the Titans were done with Steve McNair.
Yeah,
they were ready to turn the page to Vince Young.
Right.
They locked him out of the facility. There was a big grievance. There was a big fight, and he ultimately was traded to the Ravens. But the Titans wanted to say, no, you're not welcome, because they didn't want him to get injured. And he had like an $11 million cap figure, which was a big deal at the time. They didn't want that. So if Julio Jones really wants to push this, and I don't think he's wired to do that. He handles his business privately and discreetly. If he really wants to push it, show up. Hey, here I am. Deal with me. And if I get injured, you owe me $15.3 million this year. You better trade me. Better take what you can get and move on.
It can put pressure. Even if he gets into that situation, they'd probably they'd limit his reps. They'd probably or tell him not to practice. I don't know what they would do. They'd have to have a sit-down talk with him and be like, hey, listen, we're trying to trade you. We don't want you to come out here and do this. All right, so, hey, great. It's great you're here. We're doing our best. We'll see. So it does put pressure on the situation, but I don't think it's going to, make the Falcons fold, you know what I mean, that way. But
it quickly becomes a union issue.
It does.
If they decide
That's what it'd be.
To not let him have full and complete access to mandatory minicamp to get ready for the season. It can get messy quickly. I don't think he wants it. I know they don't want it. But you know what? I mean, think about it from his perspective. When do I get my new team? I want my new team. Falcons, you're not being reasonable. I mean, Julio, through his agent, Jimmy Sexton, surely knows what's been offered.
Oh, sure.
There's a chance that behind the curtain they're saying, take the offer, take the offer, take the offer. Send me to Tennessee. Let's go. Let's get this done. I'm not saying there's an offer from Tennessee. I'm just saying he knows what's out there.
Yeah.
Take it. Quit being so stubborn. I want to move on.
Right. Jimmy Sexton knows everybody. He's been around for a long time. I'm sure they have a really good gauge of the market and everything like that. I don't know. As we sit here and we get closer and closer to the end of OTAs, mini camps, and now the break, I feel like it's not going to happen right now. That's just the way I feel about it now. I feel like it's going to be one of those training camp things a little bit because of what we said. They're going to be like, wait, we don't really want him here and get hurt, so he's here at training camp, and maybe they can maximize what they get too, with the old adage of we've talked about this in the past. A team gets into training camp. Hey, of course, an injury can happen. But sometimes teams get through the first week or two of training camp and get through the preseason game, and they look at their roster and they go, we need another receiver. We have one guy, and that's it. And we need more. Like, we got to do something here. We got a good team. This is a real piece we're missing. And maybe that's how Atlanta can maximize their leverage by just waiting it out to see if one of those type of teams kind of comes about once training camp starts and preseason games get here.
And, Chris, before the Shannon Sharpe phone call and the I'm out of there response, we had presented one scenario where the Falcons have to move forward and trade him during training camp, during the season, as teams start to realize where they are in the Super Bowl hierarchy.
Exactly.
Maybe somebody would offer more when you consider that Mohamed Sanu yielded a second-round pick and Emmanuel Sanders a third-round pick during the 2019 season to the Patriots and 49ers respectively. Maybe this will be the first time that a team says to a guy, you just stay home. You stay home.
Could be.
We're gonna let this play out.
Right.
Training camp, preseason, regular season. You stay in shape. You keep posting on Instagram that you're in shape, so everyone knows you're in shape. And maybe they trade him from whatever designation they find to put him in, and then they don't have to worry about him getting injured. He doesn't have to come back. He doesn't want to come back. But they hold on to that asset until a team gets into October and says, we got to have Julio Jones.
Right.
Let's increase the price and let's make it happen. That's now on the radar screen.
I think so.
That's the benefit of talking this stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever would have thought of that if we weren't kind of working through these angles. But I think him
we're getting to that.
Getting permission to not show up, I think that may be the only thing the Falcons can do if they truly want to maximize it. And then the question is, do they want that distraction every day, every week, every practice, every whatever? And if they do, if it's more important to them to get what they want, that's a way to do it.
That's right. They just have to be, honest about the situation. Yeah. I mean, we got to answer questions, but this is the deal. We've told Julio this. Our marriage has come to an end. We love him. He's a legend. He's one of the best players in the history of the organization. He wants out. It's probably best for us right now, so we're trying to make a deal and make it happen. I think we're getting closer to that too, Mike. We're here at, the mini camps and all of that to where be patient, Atlanta, now at this point. And, I want to ask you this. Do you think, the public pressure of that Sanu trade and the second-round pick is affecting the Falcons at all? It's just as far as
yes.
You do, right? Me too.
Arthur Blank is determined to at least get a second-round pick.
Yeah, I agree.
Determined.
Yeah.
Determined. And even then, they're having a hard time accepting a 2.
I know they are. Right.
They got a 2 for Mohamed Sanu, and, Chris, they gave up a 2 for Hayden Hurst.
Yeah,
That's the other side of this that doesn't get discussed.
Now,
they gave up a 2 and a 5 and got Hurst and a 4. It's basically a 2.
Yeah.
That's the other reason they can't wrap their arms around this. This is a tight end. They didn't even pick up his 5th-year option.
No.
And they gave up a second-round pick for this guy.
Yeah. I feel like that is definitely playing, or a factor at least playing in this situation. There's no doubt. You look on social media, and again, not that those people are knowledgeable, but that's the chatter. If they got Sanu for a second round, they should at least get a first round for Julio Jones. I think they got to be a little worried about kind of being eviscerated publicly in their own city with how the optics of this situation look. So the best leverage I think they have at this point right now is to wait it out a little bit. I think like we've talked about, we flushed it out. Training camp, maybe you get a team desperate there. If not, wait for that trade deadline. See what teams are in the Super Bowl window. They're going, wait, we're good. We're 6 or 5-2, and we got a chance to be in the Super Bowl. We're missing one key piece. Let's go all in, and that's maybe where they can get their first round pick and get what they want.
They have yet to do, as far as I've seen, any type of PR effort working on reporters to get them to spread this news that, hey, it's different with Julio Jones.
Yeah.
He's older. He's got $15.3 million fully guaranteed this year. He's going to possibly want a new contract when he goes to a new team. It's not as simple and straightforward. Oh, and it's preseason, preseason. It's not when a team feels like, hey, let's go roll the dice and go all in.
Yeah,
we think we can get to a Super Bowl. There's a lot of factors out there that I don't feel like they're pushing. The one thing that I've noticed is you've seen multiple reporters say, I think they'll take a second-round pick for him, and I feel like that's coming from the Falcons with the don't report this, just present it as your own idea caveat. But even then, they either haven't gotten a second-round pick, a firm second-round pick where the new team pays the full $15.3 million. They did before the draft. They haven't gotten it since, or they've yet to still come to terms with the idea of taking a second-round pick. At the end of the day, this is a bus that is being driven by Arthur Blank. He's the one who's got his finger on the button as to whether or not they're going to accept the trade offers. And you may have some people in the organization saying, let's just move on from this. Blank doesn't want to move on until, at a minimum, he gets that second-round pick. And either he hasn't gotten it or he's still holding out for that first rounder.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems that way. We'll see where it's going. I mean, it's crazy. You know, Aaron Rodgers, Julio Jones. I mean, we're talking about two guys here in the first segment of the show who don't want to be with their team. They're first ballot Hall of Famers. And it's a crazy situation. It's going to be fun to watch. It really is, because I don't think there's any, definitive writing on the wall here to where either situation is going to go. And, I mean, Julio, we know I feel like definitely going to get traded. I just don't know when or, for what and when exactly it does happen and goes down. And that's where it's a little delicate, this whole situation.
And this idea of putting him on ice and waiting, that really may end up being the winner here if they are determined to get more than what they currently can get. All right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.